What's up, Odds Jam? Mike Wade here from TriviaThrowdownOnline.com. Going to bring to you today another book review. Today we're talking about The Everything Guide to Sports Betting by Josh Appelbaum. Let's go ahead and jump right in. So the first thing we should probably talk about is what this book is. On the top of the cover it says, A Beginner's Guide to the Ins and Outs of Sports Betting. That is exactly what this is. This book assumes you don't know anything about sports betting. This is the perfect book for somebody who's interested, likes sports, but doesn't know the first thing about sports betting. The first 4 chapters are the basics of betting, odds makers, spread, money line, all the things you would expect, bankroll management, realistic expectations, and remove all bias. 4 super key core components of any sports bettor's basic knowledge. This book does a really robust and thorough job of explaining all the basics that you absolutely need to know. One of the other things I really like about this book, kind of building on the idea of building on the basics of foundation, it has a really robust index. All of your terms alphabetically organized. This is a great book to have next to your computer if you're trying to kind of learn as you go, kind of build the plane as you're flying it. You can easily go back and reference parlays, odds, jinxing bets even is under the J category. Anything that's covered in this book is well organized. It's really great to go back. A lot of literature about sports betting, you have to read 2, 3, 4 times to really understand the concept. And this index is great for that. It's a great way to quickly go back and kind of revisit what it talked about earlier. Another fantastic feature in this book, it has individual chapters dedicated to specific sports betting. I'm going to read them off to you. How to bet baseball, how to bet NFL, how to bet college football, how to bet the NBA, how to bet college basketball, and how to bet daily fantasy sports. Each chapter specifically designed to talk about kind of the basics, the terminology, what you're looking at, what you're looking for, long-term trends. If you're somebody like me, really any sports bettor, we all have areas where we are sharper and other areas where we are not. For me, it's baseball. I don't know anything about betting baseball, but I'm trying to learn and get better. This whole chapter dedicated to baseball will kind of get me up to speed on the basics. I'm much better at football, college football specifically, but like all of us, we all have areas where we're super sharp and not so sharp. This is a great way to kind of dig into that specific sport and read about what makes sports bettors successful within that space. My favorite chapter is the whole book, chapter 4, Remove All Bias. This is the most important chapter of the whole book, and it cannot be overstated as to how important it is. As a sharps bettor, you always have to be kind of reevaluating how you look at things, how you examine your picks, kind of go through your process. It's all littered with bias on some small level, and anything you can do to kind of root that out just makes you a better long term. And this chapter does a really good job of introducing those concepts. Which I really do appreciate. I think it's important. Not betting like a fan, not having certain allegiances, ignoring media hype. These are all things that we probably all know, but how often are we actually re-examining? Covering up team names and kind of doing testing that way, kind of deciding if the data is more important to you, or if the team name, that can certainly betray you at times. Not overreacting to recent trends. Buy the bad news, sell the good. One of my most important tips in sports betting. Really feel strongly about that. Gambler's fallacy, confirmation bias. These are all concepts that every sports bettor really needs to know, and hopefully you already do, but this chapter does a really good job of reminding you about that, explaining what they are and how you can help sniff them out to help to take them out of your judgment, because obviously the less bias you have, the more likely you are to make more good picks in the long run, which is really what we're trying to do. So this chapter 4 about removing bias is really important and really helps bettors just become more sharp overall, for sure. One of the things I don't love about this book is it's a little dated, and I want to give credit to the author. I think the author wrote it with the best information he had at the time, but some of the things that kind of covers don't apply as well as you might think today. Chapter 7 specifically, it talks about following sharp action. Obviously, the sharps are the best bettors around, and the public wants to do what they do because obviously they win the most. It's very much a game of cat and mouse, and it's really hard to figure out what the sharps are doing, especially now, and they don't want you to know because they don't want the cannibalize their edge. In chapter 7, it talks a lot about ways to kind of track what they're doing and trying to do what they're doing. Reverse line movement, I think, is a concept that historically has had some merit, but has probably never had less than it does today. And there are other things that it talks about in terms of the following sharp action that I don't think you can really apply to the modern landscape of sports betting. Now, again, I want to give the author some credit. This book is a little bit older, but I would not recommend any beginner trying to implement that seriously into their strategy if they can. It's important to know about all these things, to have them all in your skill set and knowledge bank. But as a strategy, I don't think it's necessarily a good thing, especially for a beginner to try and pursue. So the tone of this book reads a lot like a textbook, which is kind of what it is. It kind of covers so much, has well referenced and the index I spoke about. But one thing the author does to kind of keep you interested as you're reading is he introduces these e-facts or these e-essentials. These are just little pieces of history, long-term trends, some fun statistic that kind of obviously relate to whatever the subject matter is. But they do a really good job of kind of bringing life to it and kind of make you want to keep reading. Listen to this one. So obviously, NFL playoff season is about to start. It's going to be pretty cold. Intuition would probably tell you with cold weather, offenses aren't going to score as many points. The under might be pretty appealing. Not so fast, my friend. When 32 degrees or lower. Since 2005, this book was published in 2019, so 05 to 19, the over is 117 and 95, a 55.2% percentage, plus 16.09 units. Intuition would tell you it would be just the opposite. The unders would probably be faded, but obviously, historically, that's not the case. Is that going to be relevant this playoff season next month? I don't know. Something to keep in mind. Maybe don't be so deterred by the temperature. It might not be as useful a tool to bet as you think it is. Overall, end of the day, I think this book is a great buy. This book is the textbook for all things sports betting, and it does a really good job of filling that gap. It gives you everything you need to know for the basics. It's really easy to find all the information you're looking for, the sport you're looking for, the content or the strategy you're trying to pursue. All of that is really well organized and really well done in this book. I think Josh does a really good job of organizing it. And while it is a little bit dated and while the sports betting landscape has changed a lot in the last 2.5 years, most of this stuff really does hold up pretty well, which is really great given the book has a little bit of age to it. So overall, it's certainly a buy in my department. I would recommend it. You add it to your library as well. Thanks again for watching. I'm Mike Wade from Trivia Throwdown Online, brought to you by OddsJam. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe for more great sports betting content from all of us here at OddsJam. The Everything Guide to Sports Betting. You can pick it up for about $20 anywhere online. Shout out to the author again, Josh Appelbaum. Great book, great job. Definitely be sure to pick it up. Let me know what you think. I'll be doing more book reviews throughout the year. If you have a certain title you'd like me to read and check out, let you know what I think. I'd be glad to do it. Thanks again. Good luck, everyone.